we gotta talk. So House Bill 514, it looks like it addresses some more of the affordable housing crisis in Kentucky. It allows religious organizations to build single-family rental homes, 25 in a cluster, and each cluster must be at least a half a mile apart. Quite a distance. Single-family, religious institution, rental housing. Senate Bill 59 was multifamily housing, apartments, religious institutions, discriminatory, no taxes. And then you got House Bill 18 that prevents private property owners and small landlords from changing or doing anything about planning and zoning laws to acquire more county land to build on or anything. But Senate Bill 59 specifically sets out that religious organizations get to bypass planning and zoning laws. They carve out special rights for religious institutions that regular property owners and developers don't get. They strip local zoning control, allowing religious groups to override community input. They grant tax exemptions and legal protections that other housing projects don't have. They ensure that once religious organizations gain control of land, that land remains in their hands and beyond the reach of the people who live in those communities. It's about who controls that land, and by extension, who controls the people that are allowed to live on it. Because we all know religious institutions are allowed to discriminate. That's legal. By giving religious institutions the power to develop housing with very little government oversight, these bills are creating a system where Kentuckians will be forced to rely on church-run housing with no guarantee of fairness or neutrality. And once that land is developed, it will remain under religious control, tax exempt, and outside the reach of accountability. It is part of a bigger strategy. While Kentucky hands over land to religious institutions, the federal government is consolidating land ownership through national park expansion and post-disaster land acquisitions. Private home ownership is being stripped from the people and put into either corporate, government, or government-approved institutions. The same strategy used by authoritarian governments throughout history. The Nazis did it. The church and the state worked together to control land and dictate who could live where. They created a system where survival depended on obedience, where land, housing, and access to resources were tied directly to alignment with the state's ideology. And we are seeing the groundwork for that happen right here in Kentucky. And what's crazy is, it's not just the Republicans laying the foundation for the authoritarian government. House Bill 359 was actually filed by Democrats. David Yates mansplained SB 59 to me, calling the religious institutions broadly nonprofits, leaving out and ignoring the fact that they can legally discriminate, that they will not be paying taxes, that the local community will have to then raise their taxes to bear the burden of the religious housing. Same with the single family housing, tax-free income. They claim to support our causes and our rights. Those are the lower and the working class. Like, this is an affordable housing initiative. But they're filing and supporting bills that strip rights from property owners and hand it to religious institutions that are not at all accountable and will harm the communities by way of taxes and the need to support this religious organization and their burden on our infrastructure. They are harming these communities by solving the housing crisis, by allowing the religious institutions to now become a housing corporation that runs tax-free. There are multiple nonprofits that have worked for decades for fair and good housing in Kentucky, and I don't see them getting such benefits. Whether it's complicity or ignorance at this point, the Democrats are laying the foundation upon which a Nazi regime can gain the control of land, housing, survival. If that doesn't tell you it's not left versus right, it's not red versus blue, it's the top versus us. It's them, all of them, versus us. If we don't fight back, we are heading towards a future where private land ownership is only the privilege of the elite, while the rest of us are locked into permanent dependency on the government, on religious institutions, and on landlords we don't get to choose. It's not about affordable housing, y'all. It's about control, and it's time we start calling it what it is, and it's time we pull the fuck up. I can't run my mouth by myself. Get on my team. Pull up. Fight back. This is bullshit.